October 1, 2017 218 AM EDT Tuscaloosa, Alabama AP. The most dominant twogame stretch of football Alabama has ever played under Nick Saban, and that's saying something for a team with 4 national championship trophies in the last 8 years, left the coach seemingly no more satisfied than if his players had just had a solid day of practice. "We're pleased with the outcome," Saban said. "Nothing's perfect, but we need to certainly work on the things we need to improve." Jalen Hurts threw 2 touchdown passes and ran for a score in number 1 Alabama let loose on Mississippi 663 on Saturday night. The Crimson Tide emphatically put down a foe that had been problematic in recent years with its highest scoring performance in 11 seasons under Saban. It was the most points Alabama had scored in a game since 1979, and the first time it has scored 50-plus in consecutive Southeastern Conference games since 1945. Tonight also marks UA's first 50 points in consecutive SEC games since 1945. Kentucky, 60-19, Vanderbilt, 710 outwork yesterday. Roll Tide, Alabama football at Alabam. October 1, 2017 Alabama has scored at least 50 in 4 of its last 5 SEC games, a fact that Saban was not the least bit interested in addressing after beating Ole Miss. "You know what, I don't really care about how many points we scored in the last 4 games," Saban said. "I'm only worried about how many we score in the next game. So I don't have any feelings about how many points we scored in the last 5 games, or however many SEC games we've played. I'm really worried how many we score in the next game and how we stop the next team that we play. That's the focus on what we need to dominate next." Ole Miss 22-01 Southeastern Conference had won 2 of the last 3 meetings with Alabama 50-20, scoring 109 points, more than any other tight opponent over the last 3 years. The Rebels are the only SEC team to beat the Tide since 2014, and they handed Alabama its only home loss in the past 30 games at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Saban said leading up to the game that sometimes the ultimate disrespect is when another team quietly believes it has your number. Not anymore. Coach Hugh Freeze is gone, resigning amid a university investigation into his personal conduct, and the days of Ole Miss being a threat to Alabama left with him and all those blue chippers he brought to Oxford. "It was just us doing our job," said defensive back Minkah Fitzpatrick, who had 8 tackles and a sack. "They come to our house and Coach Saban said we had to defeat somebody, not just win the game. I think we did a real good job of defeating them, demoralizing them, and playing our game. The Tide made it look easy." Hurts hooked up with Diop and Josh Jacobs down the middle for an 18-yard score early in the second quarter, and then mimicked holstering his finger guns after tossing the TD pass. Hurts tumbled over tacklers on a 10-yard keeper that made it 353 at the half. In the last 2 weeks, Alabama has outscored Vanderbilt and Ole Miss by a combined 1253. The 63-point margin was the Tide's largest since beating Vandy 663 in 1979. The takeaway: Ole Miss can interim coach Matt Luke keep this Ole Miss team, which can't play in the postseason because of a self-imposed bowl ban for NCAA infractions, focused on playing hard this season. There are winnable games in the SEC West, but will the Rebels' hearts be into playing out the string? "The most important thing for us moving forward is to go watch this tape, flush it and move on to the next one," Luke said. "We still have 8 games to go, 8 chances to go win football games. That's the most important thing for us moving forward." Alabama one problem, if you want to call it, that the Tide was having early this season was getting to the quarterback. After registering 5 sacks in the first 4 games, Alabama had 5 against Ole Miss. Hand-injured Alabama lost defensive end Ashen Hand to a left knee injury in the third quarter when he was blocked low by an Ole Miss player. Hand, a senior, was helped off the field by trainers and then carted to the locker room. Saban said Hand had a strained ligament and would be evaluated further on Sunday. Up next, Ole Miss. The Rebels are on the road again. They will bring a twogame losing streak to number 13 Auburn. Alabama. The Tide travels to Texas M. Follow Ralph D. Russo at www.twitter.com. Ralph Dressop. More AP college football. collegefootball.ap.org and http www.twitter.com. Top 25.